Sees the sentries being warped in, and is just looking to, deny third base. He's got decent overlord spread. Protoss player has put up his forge, is looking to move to a later stage in the games, get those upgrades growing. Zerg player starts his +1 range attack and +1 armor. Getting additional queens out, looking to spread that creep, maintain those injects, and just increase his economy as 9 drones come out. Zerg player is just free to drone up at this stage in the game. Really like that. It wants to get at that economy going. And it looks like it's going to be Ro32, as 26 Zerglings are mid. Zerg takes his gas at his third base. Really indicates towards some kind of tier 2 unit play. Hydralisk Den coming down. This is going to be really strong at deflecting any kind of Protoss aggression, any kind of air unit play. Should shut down these hallucinated phoenixes as I move across the map to, see what tech path the Zerg player is going down. Should be able to react accordingly. Even though the Zerg player does have map control, has a economy advantage, really the onus still is on the Zerg player to identify, what tech path the Protoss player is going down and adjust accordingly, because Protoss player could move across the map with certain tech unit and really gain cost efficiency at certain stages of the game. Looks like the robotic space is going to be the tech path of choice as Protoss player is eyeing to get out Colossus and Blink Stalkers. Really like that composition, pretty strong against Zerg. It's good against Mutalisk play, good against Roach Hydra play. Hypothetically, should be good against Speedlink Hydralisk play. Now these sentries are going to be critical at defending. You're going to be able to split the Zerg army up. But that is a lot of Zerglings and Hydralisk moving across the map now. I'm not sure if this Protoss player is going to be able to defend. He just has gateway units out, no splash damage just yet. He could bide his time now, but this Mothership core out so far is not a good position. He goes down instantly. Zerglings get a wraparound on some of the Protoss armies. He's forced to retreat. Hydralisks are able to move forward through the gap in the force fields as this Protoss army is just getting destroyed by the DPS of the Hydralisk. Mortals are not going to be good against this kind of unit composition. This is just way too much Zerg for the Protoss. That 4-gate didn't do the damage he was intending. The Zerg player shut it down, was able to back her up, and this is the consequence. Speedlink Hydralisk at your natural, tearing through, no Mothership Core, no Photon Armor Forge. GG's called. Game 1 goes to Philip. Not sure how I like the Protoss's choice of opening. The Zerg player is going to be expanding quickly. There's no reason not to go Nexus first. 4-gate play can be risky, as you can see. Enough speedlings, properly timed, you're able to, really shut it down before the Protoss player is able to get up that proxy pylon and start those warbins. Undoubtedly, Protoss player would have chronoed into those and, really look to shut down that third base. I mean, if you're going to invest so much into army, you're gonna lack the tech you need to deflect those kinds of attacks, as you saw with the Zerg players, just able to get those 3 bases out, move up to tech 2. You really need some kind of splash damage to deal with that. Game 2 is going to be played on Dash and Terminal. We're moving right along. This is the Chobo Star League Round of 32 Group D lower bracket between Paragons of Perfection Killua and Amon's Rejects Philip. Interesting map. I haven't seen a PvZ Wondering how this is going to go down. If you're able to destroy those rocks, it's a pretty short distance between naturals. So, see how this game goes. Spawning in the 3 o'clock position, our yellow Zerg player from Amon's Rejects, it's Philip. Up 1-0 in this best of 3. And his opponent spawning in the 12 o'clock position, Paragons of Perfection, Killua. Down 0-1. Now, as you can see, this Protoss player has already sent a probe across the map. He is going to be looking to proxy some kind of structure, whether it's a forge or a gateway. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a gateway, considering that you really don't need to make a forge on your opponent's side of the map if you're going to be cannon rushing. You can use it as a part of your wall. Now, this is an interesting position for a proxy, pretty far away, but if this Zerg player is, you know, kind of privy to his opponent, I'm not sure if he's going to be expecting some kind of 8 proxy gateway. Now this is all in. You really can't come back from this unless you do substantial damage from your opponent. He's going to be looking to take out drones, deny an expansion, 2 gateways. This is as all in as you can be on one base. The Zerg player has yet to identify this, and now this might be a little suspicious. You see that probe moving down there, and yep, he's not going to put down his hatchery. Oh, there it goes. Now, as a Zerg player, I'm not sure if he noticed the pathing of that probe, but he should be suspicious as that Overlord's moving down to, you know, get an eye on these gateways. Did he see that? The Zerg player saw the gateway, cancels his hatchery, immediately starts a spawning pool. Now, let's see if he's able to defend this attack now that he knows it's happening. Protoss player is super all in at 8 probes. Zerg player now has a double the harvester count, so twice the mining right now. And as this game goes on, if critical damage isn't done, this Zerg player is going to be at a huge advantage. We'll see. 1 zealot's already out, 2 are being chronoed. This Protoss player is looking to do critical damage here. 1 probe, 1 zealot, a second zealot's, you know, pop down. Spawning pool's not done, so he's gonna have to, you know, micro his drones against this. Look to get a surround on this zealot. If he can do that, he's gonna really be able to buy himself time mining. But as the second zealot moves up, he's really gonna be able to contend with any kind of drones at this stage in the game. It's just so difficult to engage with zealots. Really just looking to buy time. He needs to get that spine crawler out. He needs a queen. If he's able to get this spine crawler off, ooh, no cancel. Now he has some Zerglings out. He should micro those drones away, moving them once again to attack. Now he has a decent surround, and can he defend this? Still, ooh, 3 zealots still against, oh, so few drones now. There's really not a lot you can do. This queen needs to do a ton of work against these zealots. 1 queen versus 3 zealots. Not sure that's the matchup you want to take, as a couple Zerglings spawn out now. He had an opportunity to engage there. He chose to come back to mining, move away with his queen. The Zerglings are able to pick off 1 zealot and take the shields off of another, as 2 more are on the way. Now this Protoss player has got to be able to really put on the pressure for the Zerg player. 3 drones left, and I'm thinking the economic damage was done. It's 7-2 workers, as low as that sounds. GG's called. Para OP Killua takes game 2, tying up the series, moving on to game 3. Now that is a tough thing to do. He kind of hesitated, not sure if mining gas was the correct decision, as you're really not able to utilize that before the zealots hit. He would have been better off continuing to mine minerals, maybe even wall himself in with buildings. Rather decisive victory. A lot of aggression out of players tonight, as they are not afraid to gamble their CSL run on an early aggressive build. Moving into game 3 on Coda. Now this could this could turn out to be a standard match as, there's not a lot of good positions for proxies. Your overlords can get a decent scout off early enough to, see some kind of early Nexus play. Whether or not these players choose to work or scout, we'll see, as both have chosen to play aggressively. At certain points in this round of 32 Group D. Spawning in the 4 o'clock position, Amon's rejects, Philip as the yellow Zerg pieces, and his opponent, our red Protoss, Paragons of Perfection, Killua. So we can see if players are content to add on additional workers, and really no cheese is coming out yet. Zerg player still has the option of going 10 pool, even gas into pool, but like I said, I'm kind of expecting this to turn out to be a standard game as really much more of a typical map. I.e. easily established third bases. Should see a tech path from the Zerg player. We'll see how he reacts to what the Protoss player chooses to do. Like I said, both players probably going to expand. Protoss player knows the Zerg likes to expand in this matchup. Zerg player knows, Protoss player knows that, so we'll see how these mind games shape up as Killua lays down his gateway, looking to wall in his natural ramp. Sorry, main ramp. He's going to be able to stop any kind of Zergling run bys. If he sees an early pool with this scout, he's going to be able to get his Zealot out. Not really sure it's needed in that position. If you lose some mining moving your probe out to place your pylon there. If you see early pool with this scout, you could make the argument the pylon and the gateway, you're going to be able to get Zealots out to deflect the Zergling, so you might as well, reduce the amount of mining time loss and construct those structures behind your mineral line. Now he has taken his gas. Only 2, 3, oh, nope, he's seen the hatchery. He's going to be wanting to put down his Nexus. Changing his mind, it looks like. He's going to get his cybernetics core, have 2 workers on gas, and we'll see how he chooses to proceed with this game. Is he going to want to, put on some early aggression against this hatchery opening? Now, I really like the spawning pool first. I was mistaken. You get the faster queen out, faster injects. Whether he chooses to make drones or aggressive units off of this, we'll see. Zerg player has gotten a scout off, sees the gas, should be able to tell how much gas is mined, and deduce how the Protoss player has used it. Cyber_underscore finishes. Protoss player should be looking to start a Stalker or Warp Gate research. He's up to 100 gas now and 500 minerals. Puts down the Nexus. We'll see what he chooses to make next. And it's the Mothership Core. This is going to help defend any kind of Zergling pokes. He's going to be able to start banking up energy for a 4-tone overcharge if he needs to, use that to defend his early expansion. Zerg player has seen the Nexus, so should be looking to expand again. We'll see how he proceeds. Is he going to want to be aggressive? Is he going to want to try and shut down this expansion? Protoss is working on his natural ramp. Really helps deflecting any kind of aggression from the Zerg. Worker count, 27 drones to 22 probes. Like I said, at this stage in the game, the onus is really on the Zerg player to figure out what the Protoss player is doing with his gas, what tech path he's choosing to go down. Is it Stargate? Is it Robo? And just react accordingly. It looks like we're going to have the same 4-gate off of 2 Nexi. Now this is a strong open against, a Zerg that doesn't really have a lot of tech out. Doesn't have Zergling speed, doesn't have roaches. I mean, Zealots at this stage in the game. Sorry, it looks like we're going to have a Stargate coming up. 3-gate Stargate. Now this is pretty effective against Zerg. You know, you're able to force Spore Crawlers, which, you know, reduces the drone count, reduces the mining, and at the same time, Protoss is going to be able to put pressure onto the Zerg base, maybe even cancel it as the Queen and the Zerglings come up to deflect this attack. Now, if he's able to get a surround on this Stalker, that is not good. That is an expensive Zerg Protoss unit. Ooh, so close, so little health, and gets it. Now, this is deflected once again. This is not what our Protoss player wanted. He wanted to keep those units alive, maintain pressure on the Zerg player, and keep the Zerg on this side of the map. And looks like it's going to be a Phoenix out of this Stargate. I am really liking this open. Not sure how is he going to be able to contend with the speed Zerglings and the third base of the Protoss. Sorry, Zerg player, we shall see, but he should be able to get map control with these Phoenix, you know, take down Overlords, threaten Queens that are, you know, forcing injects. Now, this is not what you want to happen. The Zealot is not on hold position at your ramp, and a flood of Zerglings coming to the Protoss natural. This is not good. Probe's going down. Pylon could go down to depower one of those gateways. Looks like Photon Overcharge is going to be activated. The Zerg player isn't able to move up into the main of the Protoss. This is really, really nicely deflected, in fact. A lot of probes went down, but all is not lost. This third base is coming up. The Zerg player does have map control at the moment, as more Phoenixes are created. Could lose that. Zerglings can attack Phoenix, but Spore Crawlers are down, Queens are out. Not too much economic damage is going to take place from these Phoenix. Protoss players adding additional workers. He took his gas now. Not sure I like this move too much. You know, is he going to be able to utilize this gas he's mining effectively? He's saturated both of them fully with, you know, having just two probes mining minerals. You know, this is going to help, you know, fund making these Phoenix, but, you know, as the game drags on, if he lets this Zerg player add on drones, add on tech, start his upgrades, he's going to be behind. You're going to have a repeat of game one where Protoss player tries to move out, take a third base, and there is just a massive Zerg units out there waiting for him, ready to pounce. Currently 56 workers to 36 probes. Now, once the Zerg has his third base saturated, is he going to look to take a fourth? Is he going to look to add on units and maybe be aggressive? Right now he's getting +1 range. That is groove spines for Hydralisks and +1 carapace. So you're going to have a repeat Speedlings and Hydralisks. I really like this style versus 2-base Protoss. Until you get splash damage, it's very effective against gateway units, very effective against denying any kind of greedy third base play, and these Phoenix are going to move in. 2 Queens and a Spore Crawler easily deflect that. 1 Overlord could go down if he's not careful. A Transfuse could save that, but goes down, not too much. Not too much to worry about. 1 Overlord isn't the biggest of losses in the grand scheme. This Queen could get caught out against these Phoenix. They should be able to pick that up. And he is now. 3 Phoenix will take down a Queen before it lands, I'm pretty sure. There it goes. Oof. Just gonna take out a few workers and a Queen, not the most economic damages. As Hydralisks are out, these should be able to shoo away these Phoenix. Now, as much damage as the Protoss player has taken, if he's able to get several Colossi out, he is going to be able to deflect this kind of Zergling Hydralisk play like we saw in Game 1. He didn't have splash damage. Just gateway units and a single Immortal. The force fields weren't too effective, and you know the Zerg player was able to get a good engagement against the Protoss army. As these Colossus trickle out, should really gain a tech advantage against the Zerg player. +2 carapace, +2 range attack for his Hydralisks. Now this will really help the Zerg player. As units scale up, upgrades become increasingly effective as the game reaches max supply between players. especially in the Zergling versus Zealot. You know, if Zealots have an upgrade advantage against Zerglings, they, you know, two-shot them. But not really utilizing the Zealot in this matchup. We could see it later on. He adds on his Twilight Cancel. This could be to get, you know, your +2 attack. You really need to start that straight away, as those Colossus beams just do so much damage versus Zerglings and Hydralisks. Bonus damage to light, if I'm not mistaken. I really like the Phoenix Blade. He's able to shut down Overlords, keep tabs on the, you know, Zerg player's expansion. Could even potentially, you know, snipe a creep spreading Kreen or a drone moving out to take an expansion. He is going to be able to see these Zerglings moving across the left side of the map, possibly looking to, you know, spot a third base, maybe slip into the main, do a run by, as there is a Zealot on hold position. Should be able to deflect these Zerglings if they try and poke up this ramp. This is not where they want to be. Colossi Laser shreds Zerglings. Not the best of trades. He has seen the Protoss player has taken his third base. See how the Zerg player responds. He has quite a few Hydralisks out. His timing window is closing here, as, you know, like I said, Colossus Splash damage are very effective versus Hydralisks. He's going to need to add on some kind of unit to tank that damage, whether it be Roaches or even Mutalisks, as we see the Spires going down. Infestation Pit as well. Nope. Fourth base coming up for the Zerg player in the bottom left-hand side of the map. Now moving on into the game, the Protoss player has secured his third base almost, and he's going to be looking to increase his tech pad. That's, he starts his Templar Archives and an additional forge, really looking to increase his upgrades as we approach the later part of this game. Now, Protoss should have an advantage as the game goes on. You get those higher tier units out, your Archons, your Storm, your Colossi, and the Zerg player could have trouble deflecting attacks as this Protoss player is looking to expand again, securing additional resources. We'll see how long the Zerg player leaves this unscouted, but if he's able to secure a fourth base, you know, and is able to stay on par with the Zerg player, Protoss is going to have an army and economy advantage as we move on to the later parts of this game. This many Hydralisks are going to be absolutely destroyed versus Storm and Colossus beams. As a small Zealot run by moves into this base and just looking to get a little bit of damage done. Shouldn't too much happen. Micros the Queen back. Hydralisk moved up to, you know, take care of these Zerglings. Sorry, Zealots. And the game goes on. Fourth base goes down for the Protoss player. Storm is wrapping up and +3 attack starts as long with a Dark Shrine. Now, this is really going to help with stretching the Zerg player thin. You have to keep your army together to engage with the Protoss, and if he's able to get a Warp Prism or Proxy Pylon spread across the map, you really can put the pressure on the Zerg player. Protoss player doesn't quite have to max out, can leave some supply out, get a Warp Prism out, and really stress the multitasking of the Zerg player. Dark Templar are very effective against units without observers as well. If our Protoss player notices the Zerg's lack of observers, really could come into play in a future battle. A lone Swarm host out. Not sure if this was a mistake, if he's just trying to make use of it, but these Locusts are going to be able to take down the spotting pylon. Decent creep spread from the Zerg player. I would like to see some more on the left-hand side lane. Can spot Zealot run-bys, Warp Prism harass. And we are moving into the late game as we see the Fleet Beacon coming up from the Protoss player. Probably looking to add on his Mothership Core, or maybe even Tempest if our Zerg player decides to move into Broodlords, which have become pretty popular in this matchup late game. That is so many Hydralisks, but we'll see how this engagement goes down, as Storm is rather effective against their pretty brittle unit. 2 Storms go down, hit decent units, great feedbacks, get 2 of the Vipers, 1 immediately gets killed, and these Storms are just wrecking these Hydralisks. 2 go down. Colossi gets pulled, goes down, but this is just way too much Protoss. Zerg players forced to back up. That was a crazy engagement. Very cost effective for our Protoss player, as he has a saturated 4th, has his tech path opened up, 13 Ultralisks on the way. Now this could catch our Protoss player off guard, as Colossus and Storm aren't truly effective against the Ultralisks. Pretty awkward moving up these ramps, you know, really trying to get on top of the Protoss army, but if he's able to catch him out on the map, he could, you know, get us around on our Protoss player. Zerg's looking to take its 5th base. And really kind of, you know, lick his wounds, you know, figure out a game plan from here. He has his Ultralisks out, but he really is going to have to find a way to deal with this Robotech from our Protoss player as the game goes on and he's able to get out Immortals. You know, these Ultralisks are going to become less and less effective as Immortals are quite strong against the unit. Like I said, it's kind of hard to get a good engagement with our Protoss army. You know, there's lots of ramps and paths on this map, and our Zerg player is going to think he's shutting down our Protoss player's 4th base, but there is one on the top right hand side of the map that, as far as I know, is gone unscouted from our Zerg player. Just really concentrating on bringing the fight to our Protoss, and this is not the position he wants to move up in. That is tons of Stalkers, tons of splash damage. He's going to be able to, you know, target down these Ultras as they try and move in and get on top of this Protoss army, but that is just a lot of Protoss. Now, these Void Rays are going to be doing tons of damage. Blinding Clouds go down, are able to kind of zone out these Stalkers, but the Void Rays are just doing tons of damage against Ultralisks. Those that do literally no damage. I mean, he has an economy advantage. He's going to be able to replace his army. He's going to be able to get Robo units out, increase his Archon count, increase his Templar count, maybe even get his Mothership core out. That is a very expensive unit. Now, our Zerg player has 6,000 minerals, 2,000 gas. Not sure if he's trying to, you know, figure out what kind of unit composition to go for, but he needs to make an army, you know, that can take on this cost-effective Protoss Deathball that we're seeing being assembled. Small supply lead, but at this stage in the game, that's really what you're going to have. Protoss player could have maxed out already. Same with the Zerg. And Zerglings really aren't going to be too effective against Storm. We'll see how this engagement turns out. Colossus are, you know, really tearing up this army, and huge Storms taking out all the Hydralisks and Zerglings. This Zerg player is really on the ropes. 26 units coming out now. I like this, but 3 Archons being morphed at the same time. We already have Phoenix out. We already have a Starport and Fleet Beacon on the map. Not sure how effective these are going to be. He could Magic Box on top of these Archons, but, you know, with 4 on the map and several Stalkers, we'll see how effective this Tet switch as 70 Zerglings and 28 Mutalisks finish up. These Dark Templars are going to move towards the Zerg player's 5th base. There's no detection here, no defense. This hatchery is going to go down very quickly. +3 attack deals so much damage with Dark Templar. Now the Zerg player is looking to counterattack on the right-hand side of the map. Protoss player is posturing up to deflect this. Not sure if he's going to even check on that base. 2-pronged attack here as a Mutalisk move into the Protoss main, and Zerg can just run away from this Protoss army. He's got the higher mobility. He's able to take down this Starport. Now, this could be huge. If you're able to take out these tech buildings, you know, and whittle down the Protoss army, he could take a decisive advantage. Free Phoenix hypothetically could kill all these units, but you really have to babysit them. All of your attention is going to be on that, and if you're not doing something elsewhere, you could fall behind. Protoss players macro kind of slipping, 3,700 respectively. Shoos these mutas away, and Zerg player is going to put some pressure on the Protoss' 5th base. Just kind of sharking around with his mutas, taking down pylons. looking for position, trying to be where the Protoss army's not. This Zerg army really couldn't take on the Protoss if he chose to engage. Storms and Colossi lasers are just too powerful against the number of Zerglings. +3 attack, so good. Mutaball dives on top of the Protoss 5th base. Slow army, there's really just 2 Archons, a handful of Phoenix and Stalkers to take on these Mutalisks, and 5th base goes down and Zerg player just runs away. Now this is how you take an advantage in these games. Protoss can't be everywhere at once. Your army needs to be together to take on, you know, either the Mutalisks or the Zerglings. He could separate his army into 2 pieces, Colossi to the right, Stalkers and Archons to the left to deal with the Mutalisks, but this Protoss player is kind of being pulled apart at the moment. His 5th base went down, you have Mutas attacking in the main, taking out his production structures and tech, and really just dancing around, trying to be where the Protoss army isn't. 3 Phoenix move into the Mutas now. Phoenix are very effective against Mutalisks, but you really have to babysit them with that range. Looks like the Zerg player is going to be maxing out on Hydralisks once again. Not sure if I really like this move. You know, he could really move into like a Broodlord Queen Ultralisk at this stage in the game. You know, he's got the Mutalisks out to be able to counterattack and move where the Protoss army isn't. But if this Protoss player chose to move across the map, the Zerg player really couldn't contend with the army that he's got. He's really forced to constantly counterattack, constantly try and push this Protoss player back, and as this Phoenix count goes up, 5 now on the map, Mutalisks become less and less effective, and once he loses advantage from his Mutalisks, this Protoss player is going to feel fine moving across the map and take the fight to the Zerg. As we see that now, Protoss players posturing up, just trying to take out creep, you know, shoot away from his side of Coda. And the engagement happens. Colossi beams are huge, kill all the Zerglings. Mutas happen to pick off 1 Colossi, not on top of his Phoenix Micro, not getting too close to the Archons. They shred Mutalisks. That splash damage is really effective, and 2x2, these Phoenix come out. He's going to be able to contend with this Mutalisk advantage, and sooner or later this Protoss player is going to feel comfortable moving across the map, knowing he could defend Mutalisk counterattacks with Phoenix, and this is how we see it. Phoenix are very effective against Mutalisks. He needs Corruptors out to contend with these, or he's just going to get chased down. He's just going to get gunned down by the Phoenix. And like I said, here comes the Protoss player moving forward. Zerg player trying to contend with this with Hydralisks. Not the best unit composition, as he has Archons, he's got Colossi, has +3 attack. Couple Ultralisks come out, but I'm not sure this is going to be enough. You really need Queens, you really need Transfuses to take the damage from the Immortals, to be able to stand in the fight long enough to deal with the Protoss army. It deals so much damage so quickly. Zerg's forced to retreat. Protoss player has taken a supply lead, undoubtedly has an army advantage. Zerglings are not going to be the answer to this as they just stream onto the map, and Colossi beams are just going to wreck this. Had an opportunity to get on top of those Colossi, but you can micro them back on top of your Protoss units. This should be a game, as Protoss now doubles the Zerg supply. And this is, like I said, a standard PvZ on Coda. 16 Ultralisks out. This Zerg player isn't going to type out just yet, as he bounces right back up to 172 supply now. He has four Immortals. 4 Immortals should be able to take on this number of Ultralisks if he's able to, you know, get them into chokeways. And streaming out 1 by 1, he's just going to be able to gun down these Ultralisks. As soon as they pop out, they're going to be obliterated, even killing the eggs. Now this Protoss army is taking out all the Zerg tech structures. All these Overlords could go down as they are bugged up against the right side of the map, and these Ultralisks are not going to be able to move up that ramp against the Protoss army. Really, he just needs to, defeat this small army right here, and he should be able to, take on the rest of the Zerg bases. GG's called. Para OP's Killua takes the game and moves on to his next match. Now, Zerg lost efficiency in that map. He allowed the Protoss player to take a third base, get his Colossus out. Wasn't able to slow down the mining, slow down the third. Protoss was able to tech up and really just assemble that death ball that Zerg has such a tough time dealing with it without the proper unit composition. We're going to be taking a short break as we get our next players for our Chobo Star League Round of 32 Group D winners match.
Chase the wind and touch the sky. A star's light shines on long after it dies. Oh, in the night, I live every day as if it's your last. Our memories been bright like beacons of the past. Oh, in the night, now we race against the sun. Now we race against the now we race against the sun. Now we race against the race against the sun. Now we race against the sun. Race against the sun. Now we race against the sun. Now we race against the sun. Now we race against the sun.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Chobo Star League Round of 32 Group D. This is a winner's match between Para OP's Killua and All Inspirations Tech 4, ZVP on Coda. Spawning in the top left from All Inspiration, it is Tech 4 as the purple Zerg pieces. And his opponent across the map are a yellow Protoss. From Para OP, it is Killua. So, no early pool, no early probe moving across the map. We are going to have most likely some standard opens here, as well, there should be a kind of a standard matchup. You know, this map is pretty figured out and not too many good proxy locations. Most likely, we're going to see the Protoss player dictate the pace of this game. It's going to be up to our Zerg player to identify the gas timings and tech paths our Protoss player chooses to go down and react accordingly. Zerg player most likely is going to be doing a hatch first at his natural. Really no reason to put his spawning pool down unless he wants to get that queen out, wants to get that extra production. Maybe has some swift timing out, but nope, he's just going to move across the map with a drone scout and take his natural expansion. Protoss puts down his gateway, scouts his natural, probably not going to be taking a gas, just going to be looking to bank up his minerals and put down his nexus. Scouts high five across the map, moving towards your opponent's respective bases. Protoss player has taken a gas. Not sure if I really like this opening. It's hard to put pressure on the Zerg with just gateway units. You know, the Queen, the Zealot, the Queen and Zergling are really able to push back any kind of aggression from our Protoss at this stage in the game. I mean, with worker pools, you're really not able to do too much damage for the investment. I mean, you're really not getting your expansion down. You know, at the cost of economy, he's trying to get his tech out, and not sure if he's really going to be able to gain the decisive damage to justify the cost. We shall see. Both players have scouted each other. Zerg did choose to go spawning pool first. Just going to get that queen out a little faster, get those Zerglings out a little quicker, if he so chooses. Still has a drone lurking around in the Protoss base, just keeping an eye on those gas timings. No expansion just yet from our Protoss player as another expansion comes down from the Zerg. Looks like has those minerals, goes down. Protoss player is going to see that immediately, and I really like the Zerg player's position. He has his expansions down. He's one base up on our Protoss player who has just now started his natural, and we'll see how this game progresses. Is our Protoss player gonna be aggressive? Is he going to try some two-blaze play to, you know, really take the fight to the Zerg early on in the game? The Mothership Core is going to come out. It's going to be able to, you know, get rid of this pesky drone scout and, you know, advance his tech as he so chooses. Frowning face from our Zerg player. Didn't like the fact that his drone scout went down. He's not going to be able to keep tags on our Zerg player, but he has two Overlords into position. If he so chooses, he can meander those into our Protoss player's base and, you know, see what he's doing. Drones coming out as no gas has been taken just yet. Just looking to mine minerals, get out queens, get out drones, increase that economy. Really nothing the Protoss player can do as of now. He's putting down 2 additional gateways to, you know, complete his natural wall. Took his second gas, laying down a third gate, and we're going to see once again in that same position a pylon go down and early Zealots warped in. It's going to put pressure on the Zerg player's third base, and we'll see how the Zerg player is able to defend this. He's getting down his Roach Warren, his Evolution Chamber, and his gases. Not sure if that third gas is really necessary if you're looking just to add on, you know, +1 armor or attack and some roaches. 28 drones, kind of low. Would like to see more. as this attack is going to be begin shortly. We'll see Roach Warren finishes. Now, I'm not sure if the Zerg player is privy to this. He hasn't quite moved in an Overlord, doesn't see the additional gateways. Zealot Warpins have started in. This attack is going to begin shortly. Zerg player still has no idea this is happening. 49 to 36 supply. 2 Roaches coming out and +1 attack, but this is not going to help right now as these Zealots and Mothership Core move in to put pressure on the third base. Zerg player just now is going to be able to react to this. Pulls his Queen. This third hatchery is going to go down very quickly. Zealots are wailing on it. He has 7 Roaches coming out now. This should be able to deflect this attack for now, but the damage is going to be done. The third base is going to go down, putting, Protoss on even bases with the Zerg. Always the position you want to be in. He's going to be able to recall it if he so chooses, but really no need to now. He can simply just walk back across the map and, secure his advantage. Not really liking this move command into these Roaches. Not the best use of his resources or units, as they are not attacking the Roaches. And a recall. Really hard to move back across the map to get up that ramp. Pylon's going to go down, Probe's going to go down. Zerg has no vision of this pylon on the high ground. That could come into play later if he doesn't come up and attack it. And the Zerg player, he didn't really take any drone damage. He has some Roaches out. He's +1 attack is finishing up. He can restart his hatchery. Not the end of the world. We'll see if this is a repeat of one of our earlier games. Protoss player is adding on Immortals, only has a few sentries out. If he's looking to do a follow-up attack, he might want to start some more of those. He has the gas to, would like to get the energy starting to build up, but currently is supply blocked right now, and that is not good, as our Zerg player is moving across the map with a handful of Roaches, looking to put on some pressure, keep the Protoss player honest, see if he's taking a third base. Our Zerg player would like to know whether or not he needs to expand again, continue adding drones, or needs to worry about deflecting some kind of attack, which, he spots the lack of a third base, and he might be a little concerned at that. More Roaches coming out. This does, a decent sized army, but Roaches really aren't worth their weight in supply. As Immortals come out, they are very effective against the armored unit. Force fields are able to split the army up after that, and just, you're really able to, chunk apart the Zerg army, as we've seen in so many ZVPs. I do kind of think this map does favor Protoss. There's so many pathways and ramps. Force fields are very effective on this map. Very effective against Zerg armies at this stage in the game. And there's the second Immortal, or third. We'll see if our Protoss player, is going to move across the map with this third Immortal. He starts as Observer, fearing any kind of burrow play. Players typically like to utilize that against these kind of two base aggressive builds from Protoss, the Sentry Immortal timing pushes. Now that is quite a bit of Roaches, and not sure speed is going to be finished up in time when this attack moves across the map. Protoss player is still building up his army, giving the Zerg player time to get out his upgrades. Hydralisks are going to be out on the map soon, and that is really going to help deflect this attack. Hydralisks deal so much damage to gateway units. And once again, I'm not sure if this Protoss player is looking to expand or is going to be wanting to move across the map. If he gives the Zerg player time, he's just going to be able to, get out the proper tech units, get out the proper upgrades to really gain cost efficiency in engagements. Right now, Protoss player does have an advantage. Those Immortals and Sentries are going to be so effective against these Roach numbers. Not the position he wants to be in. Zerg player moves back up his ramp, moves back towards his side of the map. Not sure why he's out here. Really no need to be this far out. You really want to be on creep. You have that speed advantage. This is not the position to be in. The Protoss player could have moved down that map and chosen to engage if he wanted to, but this War Prism might be shot down. Not the thing you want to go down at this stage of the game. Proxy Pylon and Probe is cleaned up, and our Protoss player is moved back to his side of the map. Not feeling confident not to press his attack. He's going to take his third base, going to look on to add his Robotics Bay and really increase his tech, You need splash damage to take on Roach Hydra, whether it's Colossi or Storm. You some kind of splash damage to really contend with the sheer amount of health that roaches have. I mean, at a certain extent, force fields aren't going to be effective against a big arc. If our Zerg player can get a proper engagement, like I said earlier, Protoss is kind of favored on this map because you can camp on top of your ramp. You can really shut down positional advantages from our Zerg player. As our engagement looks like it might start, force fields come down, splitting our Zerg army. Roaches are able to get through. On top of this, one Immortal goes down. Is he going to be able to get a second one, as they are dealing quite a bit of damage to these forward Roaches, and Hydralisks in the back not dealing too much damage. Not the best engagement from our Zerg player. Protoss is kind of dicing up the Zerg army. A Time Warp goes down, but this arc of Zerg units is just dealing out so much damage, and once again our Protoss is stuck up on his third ramp. Our Zerg player is able to jockey into his natural at the same time. This is not the position you want to be in as a Protoss player. Pretty typical at this stage in the game. He wasn't able to get his Colossi out in time, and looks like our Protoss player could be going down here. 4-tone overcharge is triggered. That's really going to help defend this, but there is a lot of Roaches, a lot of Hydralisks dealing so much damage to the Protoss army. Just a Nexus is not going to be able to slow down this many units as our Zerg player doubles the supply of our Protoss. Almost triples. Fourth base going down. And our Zerg player has complete control of this game. No Protoss army to contend this as our Zerg player waltzes into the natural of Protoss. GG's called. All inspirations. Tech 4 takes game number 1. I really think this is a Protoss favorite map. If the Zerg player can't deal with that third base, but we see that the timing of Roach Hydralisks are able to punch into the Protoss before he's able to get those tech units out, before he's able to gain a real army advantage. Moving into game number 2. You're watching the Chobo Star League, or Round of 32, Group D, winners match. One of these players is going to be moving on to the round of 16. Our two players being featured today are Paragons of Perfection Killua and All Inspirations Tech 4. ZVP moving into map number 2. Our Zerg player has a 1-0 lead in this best of 3 series. I'm your caster, Kiwi. Loading up here on Terraform. Should be an interesting map. A lot of high ground, a lot of narrow passages, a lot of vision blockers on this map. So we'll see how either player chooses to use that to his advantage. Spawning in the bottom right, it is our purple Zerg, All-Ins Tech 4. And his opponent, our yellow Protoss from Paragons of Perfection, it's Killua. Once again, Protoss player chooses to place down the pylon at his ramp, looking to create a wall in, most likely going to be using the same open gateway and assimilator into Expo. Not sure if that's the most effective open against Zerg at this stage in the game. Really liking Nexus first. It's rather strong against most Zerg opens unless they do some kind of crazy early pool, which even then, if you're able to scout it, if you're able to get that Zealot out in time, you should be able to defend any kind of mineral-based Zerg aggression. Just Zealots. If you're able to get that Mothership Core out, if you're able to get a wall in at that, that's even better. At that point, Zerg pretty much would have to go all in to do any kind of real economic damage to a Protoss player on 2 bases. Trying to bust down that wall. Workers high five in the center of the map. Always like to see a nice friendly gesture between 2 enemy races. Killua once again putting down that gas. Trying to get those tech units out. Starts his second pylon. And Zerg player really favoring the spawning pool first. I kind of like it. He knows his opponent's been going gateway first. It really doesn't leave you too susceptible to any kind of proxy plays or true gateway one base gate aggression. I mean, if you're able to scout it, you can get your gas out, you can get some roaches out. You're able to get your expansion up safely and really get that production up earlier with your queen. It really helps. Especially with these gasless styles we've been seeing this Zerg player utilize. Able to get additional drones quicker, additional minerals. Zerg player is going to shoo this probe away. Now, one thing to consider is if this probe is left out on the map, you can always later down in the game, put down a proxy pylon. It's able to really fund the Protoss aggression if he chooses at a later part of the game. Another hatchery coming down from our Zerg player. Not sure the choice of expansion. It's definitely vulnerable from the back position. Definitely closer to the Protoss base. He's going to be able to get there quicker. Not sure why he didn't choose to go with the 3 o'clock expansion, which is a little farther away from the Protoss, but could take a little longer to get the creep spread out there. Not that the Zerg is really truly focusing on that, using his early queen energy on injects. Starts a gas earlier than he has before, most likely for Zergling speed. Wants to be able to get some kind of map control. Our Protoss player did go 4-gate off of a 2-base, a really quick little push early on in the game. Didn't matter too much, didn't really do enough economic damage to the Zerg. I mean, you can take down a hatchery, but a Zerg can always remake that. He can always, continue mining in his natural domain, continue teching, continue producing units. Not the end of the world. And we'll see if our Protoss player chooses to do the same thing. He's got both gases mining, and it's up to 200 gas yet, and not sure if this is the most effective use of his resources. If you're really not spending that gas, here comes a structure, another gateway, doing that same play, 4 gates, and like I said, 250 gas, that could have been, extra minerals, this timing could have been a little faster, a couple more units out, but we'll see if this Protoss player is going to be using that for sentries or stalkers. He could quickly use up that 200 gas by warping in 4 stalkers, but there is going to be roaches out on the map, there is no Zergling speed. That gas was just for his attack. Taking additional gases that is natural. Looking to saturate his bases. The worker count is 30 drones to 25 probes. Now, something to note, our Zerg player isn't in the truly best of positions. You're really past that 6-minute mark where you're looking to send in an overlord to, check up on the Protoss player and see what tech path he's going down. The Zerg player is not going to know that there's 3 gates here. He can see the 2 at the front, but it looks like he's able to slip into the natural. Not sure if he's going to be able to get into the main. He might be just looking to scout or do a tad bit of damage. Forced to pull some probes, a little bit of mining time lost, not the end of the world. 2 workers did go down. You couldn't ask for a better trade out of two Zerglings. He's able to get the scout off, able to deny some mining. But here comes the Zealots, and we'll see if our Zerg player is going to be ready for this attack again. 480 gas for our Protoss player, and not what I like to see. You really need to utilize the resources that you're mining or not mine them. Not going to matter too much as our Zerg player doesn't really have an army to contend with these Zealots, and once again his third is, threatened to go down. Starts 4 spine crawlers at his third base. Those are not going to be done in time. Third base looks like they're going to go down. Brood leads come out. He's able to clean this up pretty quickly with his Zealots. A single queen for the defense. That should be taken out pretty quickly. Once it gets off of creep, that's really where the queen's going to die. Those Zealots are going to be able to slaughter it. 1 roach comes out. It's not able to defend this position. And the spine crawlers are finishing, but at kind of low health. These roaches are coming out. This attack should be deflected eventually. Spine crawlers are canceled, but our Zerg player might have wasted too many of his roaches. He's got some on the map, a spine crawler in his natural, but that is quite a few stalkers, quite a few Zealots, and 2 time warps if he so chooses. Most likely going to use one of those as a recall if things get out of hand. Looks like our Zerg player is pushing this attack away. recalls used, Protoss player feels confident he's taken out the Zerg's third base, but once again, he didn't really do any economic damage. He just traded his, resources for a structure, 300 units. I mean, he stopped some mining, but not really think it's worth the investment. Same scenario we had last game. The Zerg lost his third base, but was able to tech up, get an advantage, and really just max out in front of the Protoss. He just gets too far ahead. The Zerg player has map control now. He's going to be able to produce tons of drones, really work on his economy, really work on his upgrades, and even taking a fourth base. Almost doubling the supply, not quite yet, up 20 supply from our Protoss player. He is pulling up sentries now and not choosing to make immortals, going straight away into Colossus. Not sure if he's going to be wanting to take a third or just mac her up soon, but he's going to need to do something. This third player has free reign of the map right now and is just droning up like crazy. Worker count, 57 harvesters for our Zerg player, 40 probes for our Protoss. You're watching the Chobo Star League around a 32 Group D. This is a best of 3 game number 2. Our Protoss player is down 1 and is facing elimination from this tournament if he can't turn things around. Observer has an idea of the composition of the Zerg army. Not sure if that Overseer is in detection range of that, but the Zerg player just has to move up just a tad, take that out. Looks like our Protoss player is moving it. Not sure if our Zerg player noticed that little wrinkle on the map. Ooh, and this Observer could go down. He sees it. And that is going to deny vision for some time from our Protoss. If he chooses to make another one, he's going to have to stop producing Colossi, and that's not what you want to do at this stage in the game. You need Colossus out to contend with this Ro32 composition. Overlord speed coming out for the Zerg. I really like that upgrade. Allows your observers to move with your army. Overseers, sorry. Move with your army. You really don't want to be caught out on the map without detection. Protoss player has a wonderful unit called the Dark Templar, which we all know is the bane of StarCraft. Anyways. Zerg player just macroing up, content to sit on his 4 bases. Has vision of the map, knows the Protoss really hasn't taken a third base. Unlikely to sneak one on such a small map. I have seen that though, so something to happen. And now our Zerg player has a huge supply lead, 60 supply up. Not the thing you want to see at this stage in the game just yet. If our Protoss player is able to get that third Colossus out, that really helps his composition, but that is a lot of Hydralisks. Sorry, Roaches. You really don't need a lot of Hydras to contend with the Protoss army. You just need a few in the back to really just dish out that DPS. The Roaches are going to be able to burst down any kind of, large unit, but we'll see how effective our force fields are from our Protoss player, Killua. Tech 4 now moving across the map, sees this third base coming down, and he's going to want to shut that down. Once the Protoss player secures this with the gateways and the cannons, it becomes slightly more difficult, but this is a wide ramp, and there's multiple ways into this third base. Not sure if our Zerg player is going to choose to, come in from multiple angles and really press the force fielding of our Protoss player. Now, I really don't like this position in the army. He might be caught out between a Zerg army and 2 of his bases. Same kind of position on Coda. You really can't protect both bases effectively simultaneously, and you have to choose which one you need to defend. Time Warp goes down, and this is a lot of Roaches. Targets down the Immortal. That goes down, and now these three Colossus are going to be huge for this defense. If he's able to force field the Zerg army out, decent force fields, now that really helps. 3 Colossus deal so much damage to crumped up units like this. And once again, he's running out of sentries, he's running out of force fields. If this Zerg army is going to be able to get on top of these Protoss units, it's going to be over. Force field wisps down on the map, and as the Zerg army jockeys into the Protoss natural. Now the Zerg army is kind of getting petered out. These Colossus stutter step back. He is able to take down one of them, but I think this Protoss player has deflected this attack for the time being. The Zerg player takes an additional base, has macroed up more units moving across the map, and this is just the calm before the next attack. No photon overcharge to speak of, and now that he has just 2 Colossi, Hydralisks are going to become increasingly effective as you're not able to take them out before they're able to do. There's very, very high rate of fire. Decent arc here from our Zerg player, but our Protoss can stutter step back. These Colossi lasers are pretty effective against these clubbed up units, but as the game drags on and as you start losing units by units, I mean, it's going to become harder and harder for this Protoss army to contend with the Zerg, and the supplies don't lie. 182 to 77 supply. Natural goes down as our Protoss player is on the ropes, facing elimination. And there is no stopping this Zerg army. He's going to move in, end this game, forcing our Killua out of the game. Tech 4 takes it. 2-0 win. Interesting game. I really like that new map. Not sure the Protoss player, you know, he mined too many minerals, or sorry, he mined too much gas. He wasn't able to use that to gain some kind of tech advantage. He chose to be aggressive in the early game off of gateway units, and it's just, unless you're able to take out, you know, some kind of worker, do some kind of economic damage, you're going to allow the Zerg player to tech up, and that's not what you want. So Tech 4 takes it, Killua is eliminated, and we'll be taking a short break to move on to our next match. Oh, sorry. There's no more matches. We have our 2 players advance. Baloo 1-2-0, and our second player, Tech 4, advances to the round of 16. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to check out TrovoTeamLeague.com for our next scheduled match.
I always seem to make the same mistakes. Too quick to fall, too fast to push away, away. I miss the warmth of your touch and your embrace. No one ever made me feel so safe, so safe. Slow down, don't forget me now. I don't wanna fade out of your memory, your memory. Hold up, I know I have my doubts, but I want to fade back into your memory, your memory, your memory. I always seem to take the wrong turn, repeating history. When will I learn? I learn. I miss the way that you smile.